Okay, so I've been second guessing like past actions I took for the past couple hours. I'm not sure where this headspace started. Oh, I just started feeling low about myself while watching YouTube. Um, kind of crept up on me. And then I keep seeing these things pop through because what you see on these feeds is always related to your mind because I don't have bell notifications on any of my subscriptions. Um, so my feed is whatever YouTube wants to show me, I guess. I think I was scrolling through TikTok videos on YouTube, but my own TikTok doesn't ever have anything like this because it's usually about women being honest about experiences with men, and they like to talk about autism on my TikTok, even though I never said I'm autistic, but who knows. I don't think, well, sometimes the categorizing is necessary, but it's easier for me to go through the day to day if I don't categorize myself. You know, because there's probably like 5 different categories you could put on me as to like my characteristics or personality. But I like to just go through the day like being in my reality, not categorizing myself. You know. Anyways, I was thinking in relation to myself, like, had I acted like the victim when I decided, like, not to go to karaoke because I felt like I was being, like, bullied by the DJ? I don't give much of a shit about the lady who doesn't want to be my friend, but the guy, the DJ, like I said, I feel stupid, like, reiterating stories that, well, it's still playing through my head and honestly, like, has been. So I guess I'm just trying to see, is the best solution just to not go back? Should I have confronted the DJ about calling me out over the loudspeaker? About that he can't remember names when I thought he would remember my name. I don't know what video this was in. I'm sorry if the context is hard to understand. I'm just like, okay, because I realized like earlier today that I'm gonna always run into people that are like bullies. Like, especially, um, um, if I gain notoriety more so. And I had a dream last night about that I was famous and it was kind of like living in some sort of hell. Like worse than being in this room alone that I've been in for 3 months. Which this has been alright. It was like a break I needed to take from humanity. But as I'm like realizing that break is coming to a close, just as like when I realized 2 weeks ago I needed to start eating food again for my stomach to heal, I'm a little bit panicked and I feel ill equipped to deal with people because I know I need to approach it differently, but I'm like, I don't know if I've changed enough that I will be approaching it differently enough to have a different experience with people. Like when I'm feeling like empowered, which I have more so lately than not, I generally have a good experience with people because I just know what to say and I don't really feel used. I guess it's like when I start to feel like needy and like disempowered and like nobody loves me. Um, then I start kind of inviting these pretty weird relationships into my life inadvertently, but really I've like so looked over the process that I understand how this has happened. Because usually I'll pass up relationships that seem like needy or hostile, but when I get too lonely, I invite them in. So, I mean, basically, you could say I've been lonely for 3 months or whatever, but that's not quite. I've been alone. I wouldn't say I've been that lonely. Because when I do invite people into my life, it's pretty, like, toxic people. So I'm just like, I want a different kind of people in my life. And I'm also just, like, worried, like, am I the kind of person that can keep, like, someone who, like, helps me feel empowered in my life? Have I grown sufficiently to actually have created that big of a life shift? I think so. I'm pretty hopeful. And like it's pretty easy for me in my life to regain hope. Because how would I have got up every day? Because a lot of my life I have felt like the victim in some sense. That's why I'm making this post, because I was starting to feel disempowered because I feel like I made the wrong decision not to go back to the bar. But it's just like that environment has never really suited me, and I don't drink. Even before I knew it affected my health negatively, I didn't drink. It's not something I'd ever been interested in. Like I've talked about in other videos, my drug of choice was food. So, and I used to think that was better than alcohol. Like overeating, on the other end, I wouldn't eat enough. It's gone back and forth a little bit. But I'm trying to stop being hoity-toity about it and just say an addiction is an addiction. One's not better than the other. You know? And it was hard for me in my life to just say, like, like I thought there were so many rabbit holes I could fall down in my own mind. In so many ways, I felt like I had like self-destructive habits that I didn't believe, even if I could curb my eating habits at a certain point, that I wouldn't just fall into some other bad habit. So I saw this on YouTube, like, don't continue breaking things just so you can fix them, which is what I had been doing in my life. I started to reverse it when my son was born because I cared about him. It's not what I'd done constantly, but enough that I knew it was a fucking problem. But when you get like so entrenched in this and then you get traumatized on top of like all the things that are difficult for you to deal with about yourself, it's hidden like under layers. So it's taken me some time to get back to why was I traumatized. Because like when you keep like doing like self-destructive things towards yourself, it just keeps piling on. Like the universe like adds more onto your life. And of course I take personal responsibility for these choices, but and all of this is born out of not being able to be kind to myself. And I've only been able to be kind to myself because I believe God exists. And that makes me feel kind of weak, like why couldn't I have just done it myself? Because I didn't love myself in an unconditional way. Now I'm like learning to, because I understand that is how God sees me. So I needed to understand that there was some reality out there that saw me as perfect just the way I am to be able to heal. And most of the time, like when I start to feel really alone and depressed now, I have fallen into some stuff which feels like what was happening tonight. But I'm hoping speaking about it will help. Like God has really shown me a way out, because when I started being loving to myself, I didn't need addictive behavior to cover over the pain, like the shame and guilt I felt from going up about things that I didn't even do. It took me a while to get to that I didn't do anything. Anyways, that's been a pretty historical moment to remember, to realize it wasn't my fault. Yeah, I'm picking my nose. Okay, it's dry. I'm not picking boogers out of it. I just have dry skin. It's like tickles. That's what I'd say. And I'm also just setting about to like heal my double jointed body. So been doing some mild strength training the past couple of days in my room for like 20 minutes or less. Yesterday I couldn't do much because I felt dizzy yesterday. I lifted my leg a few times. I did some stretches, maybe I did a wall sit. What I did do was I propped my under knees up with small water bottles while I was laying down, because I tend to hyperextend my legs. I feel like I'm double jointed in pretty much every joint, and my fingers used to be more double jointed, I think, but they're not much anymore because I used to crack them all the time as a high schooler. And my knees would always pop when I'd get up, and my jaw pops when I eat, which are things people at least once in my life have each told me, but I didn't take much significance in it. But I have finally pieced together that I'm hypermobile, and that's not taking proper care of those joints is part of why my body hurts so much. So apparently a lot of people who are hypermobile, like the blood pools in their legs, and that could be a big part of the reason I get dizzy, because there's not like enough in my heart and it's all pooling in my legs. I don't remember the reason for this, but I saw this on something I was watching, which then some people who have hypermobility have Ehlers-Danlos and POTS, which I don't know for sure if I have these things. And even if I do, I think I'm just kind of figuring out like the workarounds. Not eating sugar is significantly helping me. I've cheated a couple times, but I'm doing pretty good. Because it's not even really like a goal I have, it's just more of a reality. Like I talked about in another video, like setting goals is too pressured for me. But this is more just like, I want to feel well, so I'm not putting shit in my body. Even when I bought like pasta and Alfredo sauce, I didn't eat it because it started making me feel sick. So I don't know if that like safety mechanism, feeling sick, wasn't there, if I would be putting shit in my body. I might be, but I'm glad my body's like reacting in such a way that I don't even want to do it. So I was always worried about how changing my eating habits would change how I would interact with people. But food has always been on my mind in this way. I've always looked at it like, that's gonna make me sick, that's not. And I wouldn't like say anything to people like if I go over and eat, because I didn't want to appear ungrateful. So my body's always been like that. like pretty picky about food. Even some food that works for me some days doesn't work other days, but I can pretty much tell. And if I can't, I'll just take a bite or smell it. And if it smells gross to me, then it's not what my body wants at that time. And I can even tell, like, if I don't smell it often, I know. But it's hard to tell the hungrier I get, because then I'm just kind of like in desperation. Yeah.